Hello my brothers and sisters, and welcome back to The Order. I am Templar, and for this Fantasy Friday video we are actually going to be talking about what type of weapons and armor would the Avatar used in Avatar The Last Airbender. Now in truth, I want to actually talk about this mainly because I'm a big fan of Avatar The Last Airbender. I still technically am, and which I've watched the show when I was young, and I technically somewhat still do. In which, I do not like the movie version, no. I do not like that one. That one sucked. It ruined it completely. Now, in truth, I want to talk about this because pretty much when I take a look at the series and when I take a look at what type of armor they would probably use and such, I think, well, they couldn't exactly have been wiped out by the Fire Nation. In doing so, the forms in which they couldn't have been wiped out that easily. They would have given them a run for their money, especially if we see the scene with Gyatso pretty much dead and a bunch of firebenders are also dead right next to him. Now in doing so, I want to explain to y'all of what I mean by this. In truth, if we technically take a look at the weapons the Avatar would have used, or including any air nomad would have used, they would have used a type of weapons in which that were, well, non-lethal. Seeing as though that technically they're not meant to take a life. Now, in doing so, I hear many of you already, Templar, how are you going to actually state their weapon? Well, think about this. In truth, the air nomads are actually based off of none other than a type of group in modern history as the Shaolin warriors, or the Shaolin monks. And in doing so, the monks are technically just like this. And I like to explain this because, well, they got the whole design gig off of them and such, so yeah, you see my point here. Now, here's a really cool thing. And one type of form in which I could probably see a Shaolin monk and the Airbenders technically nearly the same. So let's actually take a look at the Shaolin warriors and see their weapons be diversed into the said, well, Airbenders. Now first, let's take a look at the karate or kung fu, in which, if we know one thing, the Shaolin warriors would have actually done type of forms of martial arts, that of which we today don't exactly see, but in truth, their type of forms of mastery of combat actually makes them stronger than enough, and as well, they even do crazy stuff like this, which, you see my point. So, why not an airbender? The airbender would have done technically the same type of forward motion and as well meditation, and as well would have created their same type of form in combat. So when you say they would have used their enemy's power against them. In doing so, this would have been perfect as a type of form. So what do I mean by this? Well, we gotta look at the type of weapons that would be perfect for that also. Now, first, actually, in the form of history, we have to understand that the Shaolin warriors were technically a peaceful type group. They did not want to actually kill their opponent, but yet detain them. They wanted to use their enemy's power against them, and as well, technically, disarm them in the process. Now, though, if none of y'all have ever seen the show Deadliest Warrior, well, they actually show some weapons of the Shaolin warrior. So, yeah. Now, in truth, though, let's first take a look at this weapon. This is the Army Piercer. Now, the Army Piercer is one of the type of weapons I could probably pronounce a little bit better. However, this is sometimes called an M.A. Piercer, but some people pronounce it an Army Piercer. It's pronounced with an E. In truth, these type of weapons are attached to the finger. And in doing so, this technically has a type of twirl design to it. Now, just imagine, though, an airbender could probably use this as a type of fan to actually push his opponent away. And in doing so, this could also be used to actually disarm a person, such as this, well, arrow-type tip could actually be used to get into the hand or the person's opponent. In doing so, it's hidden in a hand, like, say, if I have it hidden, it could just be hidden and you didn't realize it. Next thing you know, as soon as you attack me, I just twirl it and I disarm you. Now, I could probably see that pretty much technically working. But you see my point, though. It would actually be a perfect type of fit for this type of warrior, in which they could actually easily hide it underneath their robes. Now, another weapon I could probably, or two-type weapon, I could probably see the chain whip and the rope dart. Now, in truth, these technically aren't the same, but in truth, they kind of are. Now, the chain whip, I do have a slight problem with this. Even though it is a really good weapon, the thing is, I could see this weapon being used as almost like a massive fan also, but also as a type of helicopter type piece that Aang could probably use, for example, while he's, well, moving. Or as well, he can actually make a big ball of air in the process around him. Now, in doing so, though, this I do have a problem with, because technically, since it's made out of metal most of the time, it's gonna, in the process, not be perfect for taking a weapon away. However, this rope dart, on the other hand, would be. Now, rope darts that were used were actually had a weapon end and a weighted end most of the time. However, the weighted end on the end of the rope dart would sometimes be taken away. In doing so, this would be perfect for, say, trapping your opponent, or as well actually using your opponent's strength against them. Meaning, if, say, an opponent tries to thrust at me with his sword, what I can then do is use the rope to actually bind him and then his buddy, and then use my airbending to actually use the power against them. In doing so, this weapon could probably work a lot better than the chain whip. However, this is really cool because this can actually become a massive ball of wind. In doing so, it could even become maybe a tornado even, which I would like to actually see that happen because that would probably be perfect for Aang because he could easily hide this in his robes, which is really cool. Now, another weapon I could probably see working is the weapon known as the Tonfa. The Tonfa is technically, if none of y'all know what this weapon is, it's technically this, in which these are technically really good weapons, and yes, these modern cops actually technically used these at a time until they went for the more retractable models. But still, anyways, these are really good kung fu weapons, especially if you have double design versions. You can easily just use it as a type of weapon. In fact, I could probably see Aang using it as a fan also on his side, while he's technically defending himself on one end. And as well, this could easily be used to deflect a weapon, for example, like say from a firebender, or even deflect firebender blasts. It could easily be used for punching. In doing so, if Aang actually did this, he can actually force a massive air bubble on the one end of it, and when he does a punch stab, in doing so, it could pretty much just blow away a couple of firebenders. So I could probably see this working for an avatar. Now, though, you might also wonder, well, Templar, this is supposed to be a non-lethal weapon. Well, yes, in truth, this technically has been used as a non-lethal type weapon as well. However, it does depend if you hit him in the head or not, in which it might knock him out. Now, I could probably even see the staff being used, of which we do see Aang with his glider staff. Now, in truth, I could pretty much see that still working with him, of which we know one thing about it, the glider is technically, well, also a staff if it's folded up. So, in truth, it would be type of a bolo staff, as it's called, and in doing so, he could pretty much use it as a type of form of wind gusting. In doing so, he could probably push enemies off the mountain or something. Now, another type of weapon I could probably see an avatar or airbender using would also be the nunchucks. Nunchucks are an extremely dangerous weapon, and here's the thing. If none of y'all understand, if you were to use a nunchuck correctly, you could actually knock someone out, but not kill them. As well, you can even break someone's collarbone, but not kill them. You can break someone's wrist, but not kill him, especially if he's holding a weapon. Or as well, you can twirl it around someone's weapon and use it against them. In doing so, it was pretty much impressive to how an airbender would technically use this. Same thing goes with a Shaolin monk. Now, in truth, this is technically one thing I like to talk about because this is really cool because, now, in doing so, this could really, I could pretty much see Aang probably do. He takes nunchucks, and next thing you know, as soon as a firebender comes at him with a thrust, he could easily just twirl it around the spear and just fling the guy over to the side. Or, better yet, is he actually gets Zuko, especially, and he gets him in the arm, and then has Zuko destroy his own men. In truth, this could probably be perfect to see being used on him. Now, another type of weapon I could probably see him using is the flail, a two-handed style. Why? Kind of obvious. It could technically be used as it. In fact, Shaolin monks were technically stated to have made their own grain and crops areas with this, and in doing so, they would have technically used it like this. Now, in doing so, though, this weapon would be perfect as a good weapon to actually knock someone in the head. And as well, yes, in Asia, especially in China, this weapon technically was seen. Now, though, another weapon I could probably see working sort of somewhat, it would be the pitchfork. The staff pitchfork Why? Well, in truth, the Chinese pitchfork is extremely, well, manufactured in this type of way, not to be used to kill, but actually used to actually hook. In other words, say if someone comes at me with a sword, he's going to want to defend himself. I can easily just, well, use the pitchfork to grab his hand and, in the process, move him down. In doing so, I could pretty much see that working. Now, I hear maybe already, but what about the other symptoms? Well, I could technically use it to hook someone's leg, which could pretty much be perfectly used. But I do see a slight problem with this weapon, especially if the Airbender slightly diverts to the left or the right, and in the process skewers the guy, breaking away from the Airbender's form of no killing. But you gotta admit, it's technically a good weapon for the monks. Now, in truth though, I could probably also see them using other forms of Chinese pole arms, but it depends, because since the Shaolin monks are a peaceful type group, so would the Airbenders. And the Airbenders, if we know it, are extremely peaceful. That's why they're known as Airbenders, or Air Nomads. In doing so, I don't technically see them using much other weapons of pole arms. However, there is one weapon I could probably see them somewhat using, maybe the twin hooks. If you don't know what the twin hooks are, that's these. And as well, these weapons were even used in Avatar: The Last Airbender by the used character of Jet. And Jet, if we know anything about it, he's technically the bat, is the, I want to say, hidden bad guy, I guess I could call him that. And in doing so, in one of the scenes, you actually see him hook the one end of the said, twin hooks with the other one. And in doing so, he twirls them around. As you can see, this is really cool, because I could see an Airbender probably doing this with a type of form as an air sword, of which none of y'all remember. Aang actually stated that he could probably just need a hilt of a sword to make an air-like sword. But I don't know if that could work for it much, but still, though, it's really impressive. Though I do expect that to actually happen, especially with the twin hooks. Now, though, in truth, I don't exactly see an Airbender wearing armor, because these guys were not meant to be known for fighting. These were monks. These were not killing warriors. So in doing so, I don't see armor on Aang anytime soon, so yeah. However, with these weapons, I do actually see it working for Aang. I do see it operational for Aang. I do technically see Aang using maybe maybe rope dart with a army piercers, or maybe the rope dart with, say, I want to say maybe even his staff, or even with the tonfa weapons, in which this could probably work best for him, seeing as though he can hide him in his robes and easily use them for self-defense, of which is his way of fighting. And which, if any of all actually have any other weapons I could probably put in down for Aang, for example, or any Airbender, let me know down in the comments below. I'll be happy to probably redo this video and probably actually try and talk about it. Now, in doing so also, y'all, I will be doing some other Fantasy Friday videos of maybe Avatar, and if you all want me to talk about any of the nations or any type of characters, weapons in general, let me know down in the comments below. I will be happy to talk about it. Because in truth, I want to actually talk about this because this is probably one of my favorite series out there when I was young. In truth, this actually does give us a good example of what it would look like. But anyways, guys, hopefully you like this, and let me know in the comments below if I can do any type of Avatar: The Last Airbender weapons. Let me know in the comments below, or any type of characters or nations. As I stated, let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe to help the channel grow. Also, check out our Facebook. That way you know of which actually upcoming type of videos are going to come up next, and I'll be happy to actually explain to y'all on why. Anyways, guys, it's been Templar. Have a great day.